wiped out first.
Why don't we just take the fight to him?
Hello everybody, welcome back to Screenstars. I'm here today to bring you my review for the 2025 science fiction horror film Osiris. The film is co-written and directed by William Kaufman and it stars Max Martini, Linda Hamilton, Brianna Hildebrand, LaMonica Garrett and Michael Erbe. Now the film follows a group of elite commandos who are in mid-operation somewhere in the Middle East, and out of nowhere there's like a huge spaceship that materializes above them and essentially beams them up. When they wake up, it's unfortunate for them to find that they are being hunted and stalked by a vicious alien species who are getting pretty hungry and they're wanting a snack. And guess who's on the menu? It then becomes a fight for survival for these mercenaries, commandos, to stay alive, basically. Right, what are my thoughts on this film? Right. I remember seeing the trailer for this one a couple of months ago and I thought it looked really cool, I'm not going to lie. You know, the whole sci-fi element, soldiers against aliens type of thing. I mean, it's been done before many, many times, but it doesn't mean it can't be cool. And I thought it had potential. It looked like it had potential. And then, unfortunately, I watched it. And while I don't think this is what you would describe as a bad film, it has a lot of problems and flaws that make this, if you like, have too many issues to recommend, in my opinion. It feels like a real missed opportunity here to kind of give us something really, really cool, fun and entertaining. But don't get me wrong, if you're happy to put on like a film like this, and it is basically soldiers against aliens for the whole runtime of the film, basically, lots of shooting, lots of explosions, lots of testosterone and shouting and monsters growling and running around darkened corridors, then you're going to be in heaven with this one. Believe me, you really are. But for the rest of us, we kind of like little things, like plot and script, and, memorable characters. And you don't really get any of that. It's one of those that's all shirt and no trousers type of films. There's not a great deal under the surface of a good trailer. The trailer is about as good as it gets with this film, and I think it's such a shame because the effects here I think are very, very good. For the most part, I thought the effects were absolutely on point, especially for the creature design for these aliens. They looked a little bit like the monster in Resident Evil Nemesis. And the reason why that's so fresh in my mind is because I've just watched Resident Evil Nemesis to prepare a review for my Resident Evil reviews that I'm doing. And so when I saw these creatures, I'm like, oh God, they look like Nemesis in Resident Evil. And they do to a large degree, but they look really threatening and menacing. And for the most part, they really do a good job. But it's got this kind of weird, convoluted plot when it didn't need to have, about this alien species that's going to, destroy and take over Earth. And, I couldn't buy into that, mainly because they couldn't even keep control of their own spaceship. You know what I mean? Where is the brain cells on these creatures where they do try and explain it in the film, the fact that it's almost like training for them, where they beam up these soldiers, and then, they learn our strengths and weaknesses, so on and so forth. Well, you can learn as much as you want about our strengths and weaknesses, but at the end of the day, a grenade launcher is going to blow you up, whether you've learned what it is or not. So it doesn't make a lot of sense to me that they kind of do what they've done, these creatures, these alien creatures. They don't seem like the most intelligent, in my opinion. And it tries too hard to be what we've seen before. So it's like a combination of, Predators, the third Predator film, mixed in with Aliens, the second Alien film, and they tried to lean into those elements, and it doesn't do enough original to kind of allow the film to stand on its own 2 feet and be its own entity. It's too reminiscent of what we've seen before. And as I've said, there's nothing under the surface here. It's all guns and shooting, aliens running down corridors, soldiers running down corridors, soldiers getting taken out by these creatures, soldiers taking out these creatures, alien creatures. Back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And then a pause occasionally for some dialogue. Or a pause occasionally for the introduction of Linda Hamilton's character, who has been on this spaceship 30 years, apparently. So it doesn't, for me, it doesn't make for a great film, because all you're watching, like I say, is 90 minutes of guns shooting, explosions, screeching and growling, and that's it, really. There's not much else to get behind, and a lot of the names and faces of the soldiers are unmemorable. I mean, they've even got a guy there who was reminiscent of Hudson from Aliens. Do you know what I mean? Paranoid type guy. So I don't know. I mean, the Linda Hamilton appearance as well. It's great to see Linda Hamilton. Of course it is, but to be fair, it's not much more than a glorified cameo. For me, one of the biggest issues of this film, it was just too dark. This seems to be a bugbear for me. A lot of films I seem to be watching these days are too dark. You can't see enough of what's going on. They're trying. It's almost like they're putting mood lighting in, but forgetting to put the lighting in, and just setting the mood, but not lighting it. Half the time in this film, you couldn't see enough of what was going on, and you were almost reliant on guns going off to light up something or anything. I think this new trend, they need to stop it. I want to see the film that I'm watching. I want to see clearly what's going on. I understand these corridors are dark and stuff like that, but you can light it in such a way that it still gives us that effect. And for me, 80% of the film was lit poorly, so that you couldn't really follow the action appropriately, is what I'm going to say. So I think this is a massively missed opportunity. I think this could have been a really cool film. I think if they'd have pitched it right, put a little bit more time and effort into characters and script and story, those minor things that we like to see in films. But other than that, the action's absolutely fine, the effects are absolutely fine, the creature design's absolutely fine, which is what makes it even more of a shame, in my opinion, that this couldn't have been more than it actually is. So that's my thoughts on. So I keep getting the title wrong. I've had to refilm this review a couple of times because I keep getting the title wrong. Osiris. There we go. Did it. Thanks for watching.